Hi everyone, my name is Arnold and I'm a guitarist in the symphonic metal band called Tristyn. And in this video, I'm going to talk about my journey um, recovering from focal dystonia. If you're watching this video, then you've probably been diagnosed with focal hand dystonia, or that's what you suspect that you might have. Um, Focal hand dystonia is often called a musician's nightmare, and let me tell you, it really is a musician's nightmare. Um, my I initially came across focal dystonia um, back in 2023 summertime, around July, and yeah, I remember I was practicing this alternate picking lick. Um, Quite simple, going 1 2 3 4 3 1 2 3 4 3 1 2 3 4 3, and I kind of started noticing that my second finger was becoming quite lazy, and as most of us would probably guess, I thought I just needed to practice more. I needed to just push harder, and that's exactly what I did, and it only made things worse. And it starts off gradually just become worse and worse, and it got to the point where I was feeling so much tension in my second finger that my whole hand was just started doing crazy things. My second finger would just be so tense it curled into my palm. um, my my first finger, my fourth finger, would push away from the fretboard. It was really bad. It got to the point where I couldn't even play a simple open chord. um, it was just a disaster. I couldn't just play it. I couldn't play anymore. That was it. Um, and that was the time when I realized that something was wrong and I need to look for help. Um, so I booked a couple of appointments with private sort of hand specialist. Nothing to do with dystonia, just general uh, practitioners specializing in hand, issues. And one of them said to me that I'm not 100% sure, but I feel like it could be something what's called focal dystonia. That was completely new to me. I've never heard about focal dystonia before. So I remember I went home and I did a bit of research around focal dystonia, and I was reading about the symptoms and I was thinking, oh my God, this is exactly what I have. And then I was, started looking around treatments and how to treat focal dystonia, how to get back to normal playing. And this was the time when everything just really started going down the hill, because what I found out was that there is no treatment from focal dystonia. And I thought that's it. I will never be able to play the guitar. And then it got even worse when I started looking at other players who've been diagnosed with focal dystonia, and then I was listening to their interviews and their stories, and they said basically they had to put, their music careers down, and they just had to permanently stop playing guitar. And I thought that's it. This is exactly what's going to happen to me. I will never be able to play guitar again. So it completely destroyed me, and I was really feeling quite depressed. Um, but then I did a little bit more research around the treatments and ways to, overcome focal dystonia and go back to normal playing. So I did my research and I found out about Yogi Panapa, and he's a dystonia specialist. And I went onto his website and I decided to contact him. So I had initial conversation with him and I described what I was feeling, and he basically said, yeah, that definitely sounds like a focal dystonia. So he explained to me what the process would be and how the therapy works. So I decided to give it a go, because at that point I just had nothing to lose. So I started my program around February, so end of February, beginning of March 2024. And it's a splinter therapy where you put splints on your fingers and you do specifically designed exercises. I had to do those exercises 2 hours every day. And let me tell you this, those exercises were really, really hard. For normal player, I say normal, for someone who doesn't suffer from focal hand dystonia, they're very easy. But for someone who does, those exercises were absolutely killing me. I'm not the most patient person in the world, and that recovery journey required a lot of patience. Because sometimes for weeks or even more, for months, you just wouldn't see any improvement, simply because this kind of recovery, it just takes so much, it just takes time, and it takes patience. So I was doing the exercises for weeks, and I didn't see an improvement. I thought, why am I doing this? Isn't working. But then I thought again, what have I got to lose? I'm just gonna carry on doing this. And after a while, I kind of realized that the tension in my second finger disappeared, and I was actually able to play it. As soon as I would put my hand on the fretboard, there would be absolutely zero tension. And I'm thinking, that's an improvement. That's definitely something new. Something is happening there. So that motivated me to carry on. And I kept doing the exercises 2 hours every day. And my whole recovery journey, it took around 18 months, I believe. I started February 2024, finished around August 2025. And yeah, I remember I was doing the exercises. I was being the patient person I've never been before. And I remember the day going towards the end of my recovery. And I remember Yogi said to me, "Okay, Arnold, now take the splints off and just try and play." And that was a super stressful moment. But I took the splints off and I placed my hand on the fretboard, and I could play. I could play. There was no tension. My second finger was just behaving absolutely normal. There was no tension. I could actually play. I mean, obviously I didn't practice properly for 18 months, so my skills were gone. But in terms of dystonia, there was absolutely zero dystonic movements left. There was no dystonia left at all. And I thought, and it was great. That moment felt so good. As my hand is back to normal. It feels healthy again. And so my message is that if you think that you suffering from focal dystonia, or if you've been diagnosed, I would highly advise you to get in contact with Yogi, and just explain to him what you're feeling, what you have, and start your journey, because it works. It really works. And Yogi itself, he is a pleasure to work with, and he literally saved my life, saved my music career. So get in contact with him, and good luck.